We had a lot of rain today. Last time I looked at the rain gauge, we had an inch and a half, but I think by the time I took this video, we'd probably made it to 2 inches. I wanted to fly over the lake and the creek and see what all the water runoff looked like from above. You got the catfish pond here to your lower right of the screen, just past the lake. We're flying over the pasture to the low left here. This is the lake bottom pasture, and then on the other side of the fence there to the right, that's the barn pasture, and then the pasture that we're coming up on, where this herd of cows is, that's the east pasture. We often just refer to it as the heifer pasture, and this Hiroshi's group down there. We still call them heifers, even though most of them have already had their first calf. That's just kind of how we identify that group. They were originally heifer group 2 and heifer group 3. Anyway, there's their pond, and you can see where all the water is running off. Probably could use a little work on some of these ponds to keep some of the water from flowing out of them when we get a lot of rain. But here in a minute, we're going to fly over the creek and follow it over to the lake. It's interesting to see what the ranch looks like from above when we've had a lot of rain. I haven't actually ever done that before. I just wanted to get an idea of where all the water runoff is coming from. The lake, the creek feeds into the lake. We're about to turn to the left here and fly over the tree line. And this creek flows into the lake. And then the runoff from the lake, or from the spillway, actually goes all the way to Cedar Creek Lake. So here we're getting high up above the trees so we can see, follow along with the creek here. The creek is good for the ranch, but it's also a pain in the butt because we're always having to do repairs where the fence crosses the creek, having to deal with any debris and stuff that flows down downstream from the creek and gets into the pastures when it floods, and it gets into the lake and everything. And when it's really bad and it's filled up the north lake bottom pasture, all the debris from the creek and the lake ends up laying out there in that pasture, and then we have to go clean it all up. The pasture to your right, we call that the northeast pasture. And then we're going to follow along the creek. And below us here, this is our creek crossing that we drive across to get to that side of the property. And the pasture to the right, on the other side of this fence line, is the north lake bottom pasture. And then way up there to the far left is the north pasture. But I've been wanting to do this since I got the drone, fly over the creek like this. I was actually going to fly lower to the water, and I thought that'd make for a really cool video, but I thought I'd go ahead and stay up higher just so we could see better. When it started drizzling rain on me, you could probably see there's some spots on the camera lens because it started drizzling rain while I was flying. And I turned around here and I go up to the northeast pasture and look up here, and on my way back my battery was getting low and it forced me to return home, and it had me going across the lake on the way back, and I knew I wasn't going to make it, so I manually flew it around the lake and ran out of battery and had to make an emergency landing, and the drone almost landed right in a puddle, which would have been bad. But I had the landing gear on, which sets the drone up about 1.5 inches off the ground, and so that helped it stay, somewhat dry. I had to bring it in the house and wipe it down because it got a little bit too wet, and these drones are not water resistant. They do not play well in water, so I got really lucky. I was scared when I had to land it out there in the pasture. I was afraid it was going to get too wet, but luckily it's fine. I brought it home and wiped it off and charged up the batteries. Here we're flying back over the pond that's in the North Lake bottom pasture, and we're flying over the creek and the big lake. And here's where the drone forced me to return home, and I decided it'd be best to go around the lake just in case, because if it ran completely out of battery, well, that thing's going to fall out of the sky, and I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want it to fall in the lake. It would have been a bad day. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy videos like this. I've sped up this last little clip, and if you look over to the right here in just a second, you'll see me walking across the pasture where it's sped up, and then I'm about to come and pick up the drone. That'll be the end of the video. Alright guys, well, I'll see y'all in the next one. As always, y'all take care and be good.